Hello viewers, SuperGT here, welcome to the video. I just want to kick it off with a savage backflip, because why the hell not? So anyway, this video, Group 1 at Monza. We'll get through to the 787B, but first off we're going to do a race in the Nissan. This was the pretty much the go-to car, so I set off with a decent lap. This is qualifying, and then come up behind this guy, and he was going a bit slow, a bit all over the place, didn't know what he was doing. Go this side of him, my lap's obviously ruined. See a guy coming through, so okay, I thought I'd back off and let him go. And I think he's going to move across to take the slipstream, but then he obviously took that I was brake checking him. And it didn't really go too well later on, as I slipstreamed him down the main straight, went to go for the move, and he obviously was not happy as he murdered me. As I got reset, I got sent back in time, a long way back. But ultimately, here is the grid. So first and second here, again, all in the Nissan. And the guy in third as well, PG Motorsport, you may remember the name. We get to fourth, there he is. Is he going to bust us off the track again, going to that chicane? Got a Russian here. And then, oh, would you know it? Super GT's qualified 6th. And then a little bit further back, Violence Man. Oh my god. What is this race going to come to? I hope not. I hope Violence doesn't come into it. But we shall see. From 6th place on the grid, coming down into the chicane. So we're not running that first chicane, this is technically the first chicane. I go into the side of the Russian, did brake a little bit too late. Thankfully it didn't result in anything. And that guy, the German, I think it was on pole, he could have bin himself into the wall. Second lap now in 5th, going into the first chicane. The Russian brakes a little late up the inside and slams into the side of the pole and doesn't get himself a penalty. Doesn't get himself a penalty for that. Interesting goings on here. That's the way to overtake, clearly. Just brake way too late, slam your opponents wide, and the game won't pick up on it. As we come in lap 3 now, and the pole is going to go bad to worse for him, as he now drops down to 5th. He was 2nd, and I'm up into 4th. So it's a solid start. We're up behind our arch nemesis from qualifying, Bokomomo. We had a bit of a tussle there. And a little bit further round into the slipstream now. Are we going to have deja vu and a glitch in the matrix as we come down towards the chicane? I'm nicely on the brakes, not quite going to go through there. He's got a little bit deep, but yes, just met that apex. And on the way out, oh man, the car is squirming everywhere, violently fishtailing. And then the pole, for some reason, just couldn't see me. I must have engaged invisibility cloak, and he's just gone straight to the back of me, and I'm in the gravel, and I've gone down to 8th. Absolute disaster. That race was going really well up until that point, and there was some silver linings. This guy just binned himself, just gave up on life, and eventually, you know it, I came through to finish in 6th. So okay, an okay result. It looked promising, but ultimately I am the fastest driver in the United Kingdom. You saw it there first. Or am I the 6th fastest driver? I don't know. So here's the second race. Of course, with the new FIA system, you can do these races more than once. And you can already hear the car. Just listen. I'm revving the crap out of it. Here it is, the monster, the 787B, the rotary beast. This thing, I mean, just the sound of it is absolutely incredible. This thing really roars. You can hear it probably from the moon. And as we begin here, so I got a really good run on Bishop here, but such is the strength of the slipstream, I wasn't in the slipstream any longer, so I couldn't really capitalise. There's our first victim. Someone's already spun out. Coming into the chicane, we get a tap in the rear. I tap Bishop in the rear, and it all kicks off. Pandemonium ensues, and I've gone up into 7th position after all of that. Now Bishop comes up the inside, and I think he was angry as he kind of just runs me out a little bit here. I think he thought that I it was just me entirely, going into the back room. Yes, I went to the back room, but because I was pushed. And just an awkward Lesmo 2. Turbo Wolf, the Russian up the inside with the 5-second penalty. In fact, Bishop actually gets a penalty for that as well. And the penalty line is just out of the Ascari chicane, so we're just going to come up to that now through that last apex. And I actually took the apex a little bit too well and got myself a penalty. So Monza are well known for dishing out the penalties. You can't cut these chicanes, as I've been slapped with a 0.506 second penalty, which I'll have to serve at the next lap. Of course, FIA races, you serve them at the line. You can't just slow down and serve it or whatever you like. But this is going okay so far. I started 14th, let's not forget, and I'm up to 7th. At this rate of progress, I'll be in 0th position after this lap if I continue to overtake 7 cars per lap. Right, coming up into the chicane then, difficult one to get right, and we're going to hit that apex. We're actually going to meet it rather nicely. And I think the main thing about this car, you might have noticed that it won the previous race, which is one of the reasons why I chose it. So I thought, okay, maybe there is an alternative to that, to the Nissan. We've gone for the Mazda. It seems to be very, very planted. I can't quite see why. I think maybe the power isn't quite as good, although it does top out over 220 miles an hour, just like the Nissan. So it is very, very quick indeed, as you probably expect. As we come through Ascari, we're going to have to serve that penalty, and we actually cut it again, marginally. It really is a tiny cut, but it is enough. I've gone beyond the limit twice in a row, and we're going to lose 3 positions and maybe 3 seconds, I would say, because of course, even though it's a whatever second penalty, you don't lose that amount of time. It's always a different amount, really. So we go down to 11. We lost 4 positions as a result. Let's see if we can go back past this Austrian though, as we cross the line to begin the 3rd lap and tuck firmly into that slipstream as we just head over 200 miles an hour. We're going to go for the pass as we go into Curva Grande, flat out at over 220 miles an hour. This is honestly quite scary. I can only imagine doing this in real life, just how scary that would be. And you're actually on the limits of grip going through there. Purple sector through sector 1. This car really does excel on that straight. I was getting a lot of purples going into that first chicane. Of course, the first sector here is just completely flat out. And then again, a lot of it I think might be down to the slipstream as well, which we all know the sucking forces in this game are exceptional and extremely strong. Through the chicane, onto the back straight, and I think someone just up ahead was serving the penalty, the pole, who was actually in the previous race. So coming into Parabolica, the final turn here at the legendary Monza circuit. Going to get the straightest line possible on the way out to get the best speed onto this very long straight. Of course, even longer now that we're not running that first chicane. Into the slipstream, there was someone right behind me, who in turn will be slipstreaming me. But we're going to try to take 9th position here. So making our way back through a couple of these positions that we lost as a result of that penalty a couple of laps ago. So just having to have a comfort lift through there, as it looked as though we might have gone a little bit wide. So the Austrian on the outside, and I've just met the apex. It was a bit shoddy. Strong defence, although I didn't even mean to defend there. I just braked where I thought was right and turned in and hoped for the best, and it kind of worked out. And I think the Austrian actually spun out or was on the gravel on the way out of the turn. So it gives me a bit of breathing space, although not much, as onto this back straight, or as we skip ahead, it was barely half a second. But now catching back up with these 2 guys here, and I'm taking liberties with track limits. You can see they're 0.6 second penalty, just a tiny cut. And this is the thing that's really difficult here. As your tyres wear out, you do have to adapt slightly, of course, your braking points. And given the speed that you're going, it really makes a difference if you brake a tiny bit too late. And unfortunately that meant I've got a penalty there by taking it a little bit too hot. So there's the Mazda 787B, really low looking car. Really amazing looking car, really unique livery as well. As soon as you see that orange and green, you just know it's a 787B instantly. So as we exit the pit lane, we have come out back in 9th although we have a German now bearing down immediately on us as we come round towards the chicane, braking just under that gantry, normally braking somewhere between the 200 and the 150 board, about halfway between, so 175 normally, and that tends to get you into the corner just fine. But at these speeds, of course, as we mentioned, these cars are going so quick that it can be hard to judge those braking points. So it can be difficult to spot them and brake exactly where you need to. So I think the German had a terrible middle sector, and he's dropped right off, over 2 seconds now. And we've got German in front as well. So Patome, very, very quick driver, but he's finding himself a little bit lower down the order than he normally would. So perhaps if we can tuck in that slipstream, I'm not sure I'm close enough. I might be. I am 0.9 seconds behind. We're going to find out, I suppose. Let's see. As someone's just gone into the pit lane, we're going to go up into 8th position. There's visual Jeff Tiger just coming out of the pit lane. He's gone for the modern car here, actually, which is something a little bit different, a little bit weird, because on these high-speed circuits you normally need the Group C cars because they just have exceptional straight line speed. Of course, that's really crucial around Monza. A little bit too deep, and by a little bit I mean a lot, way too deep. I've got purple first sector there, but then just ruined it by braking a little bit too late into the chicane and threw it all the way into the final turn. We have some promise, I suppose. We can get the speed, we can get the lap time. We just need to be consistent. And Group 1 it's not really the class I drive in all that often, so it can be quite difficult to adapt when it's been maybe a month since I've driven a Group 1 car, or a couple of weeks at least. So the gap now opening up ahead, 2.5 to Patome. Key 25 running out winner at this point here. I hope you all know Key at this point. So Key 25, he does YouTube as well, really quick, in fact. It wouldn't surprise me at all if this year he made it to the regional final or even the world final. His speed has just taken another level. Very good streamer, very useful. Does a lot of strategy videos, so you know what strategy to use for each race in the FIA races. Strategy is very important, of course. Which tyres to be on, when to pit, and sort of which gears and things to use for each turn. Very useful videos if you're doing the FIA stuff. Now we've got Jeff Tiger right behind. Now we spoke earlier of the LMP ones. Now of course in a real race, let's say a 24-hour at Le Mans, you'd want the LMP1 car over the Group C. You know, just much better reliability. Would stand much chance. Would lap technically quicker as well. I know around here maybe this car is quicker, but I think around Le Mans you'd be looking at the LMP1 cars being a little bit quicker, with of course the amount of downforce they have, and that's the main thing you have to notice here. Down the straights I'm way quicker, and then through the turns, as you can see here, he's just poking his nose into the screen. Through the turns he is definitely a lot quicker, and it's quite hard to keep him behind. Just really have to stick to your line and make sure you don't make any massive mistakes. You don't just have competition in the form of that LMP1 car. We've got GTA Bishop as well in the orange car, a little bit further behind. You can see him at the back of the shot there. So he's kind of lurking, and there's still 2 laps to go, so it could definitely change as we come into the final turn of lap number 9. So 2 laps left to go, and I run a little bit deep, and you can see that the AstroTurf kind of, once you get on it, it's hard to get back off it. You kind of have to let the car just go across. So I'm going to tuck back into that slipstream. There's not much he can do. I really like that livery, by the way. It's sort of inspired by the Jordan F1 team, it looks like. Let's go through Curve Grande. So easily got that position back. He just can't really compete with the straight line speed that I have. I'm not going to go defensive. I don't think he'd be able to go for a lunge from that far back. It would be a brave move. We hit the apex actually quite nicely there. A little bit easier to control, I think, this car compared to the Nissan, and I think that might be its trump card. Maybe the tyre wear is a little bit better compared to the Nissan. But I think there's just something about it which is a little bit slower. I think it's just the acceleration in low speeds. I couldn't quite tell what it was that makes this car a little bit slow, but I think it is the lower speed acceleration. or I'm just bad coming out of slow corners. And coming into Ascari, second to last time now. Need to get a really good run through here. And once again, I've just done it. I think I've literally cut that by 1 pixel. So I think you can go all 4 beyond the line, but it has to be 2 wheels on the edge of the curb. And I've literally just gone 1 pixel beyond the edge of the curb. And I've been slapped with a slightly harsher penalty than before, 0.93. It's still possible to achieve something here. I just really need to get that gap, because I'll lose. Well, I don't know how much I lose. We'll see. If I can just gap the guys behind, I can still salvage something here. So I'm in a good position, 8th. I started 14th, so I've made progress. And to be honest, I'm not too far off of the guys ahead. Not, I mean, they're not. It's not like they're close, but it's not a total farce. They're not a million miles away. First and second are a long way ahead. But third and fourth and fifth, it's not a million miles away. So Jeff Tiger here goes for the pass, he gets it done, and once again the superior top speed and power of the 787B is going to carry me back past. Goes for the move into Ascari, I didn't expect that, if I'm honest, and it didn't really come off. I'm not going to cut that one again. We're going to serve that penalty here, forced speed reduction. We actually got quite a decent margin over the two of them, and it's actually going to be Bishop who actually goes through, and it's going to be a one-on-one with Jeff Tiger for this 9th position. Can I possibly get into the slipstream of Bishop before the line? I don't think I can. It's going to be a drag race, straight race between the two of us, and of course the Group C car is going to come out on top. I'm going to finish 9th. It was a little bit disappointing to get that penalty so late in the race, and maybe without some of the earlier ones too, we may well have got 6th or 7th, possibly. Ultimately, that isn't what happened, and we finished 9th. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. The sim rig is nearing completion. It's very, very close to being ready. I'll have a video about it, so do stay tuned for that. And less bottle jobs in the future, hopefully. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts. I shall see you next time. Goodbye.